Hello, welcome to Trust Me, I'm Fat. Today, I'm going to show you my asked for beef stew. I have not made that yet for my channel, and so we're going to do that today because it's a little chilly outside. Even though the sun is shining and it looks beautiful and the grass is growing and the trees are getting leaves, we have a north wind, so it's cold. So today I'm going to make a nice warm meal for my family. The first thing you want to do, I cheat and I buy stew meat at the grocery store. This stew meat is tenderized. It's extra lean beef that's been cleaned up and cut and anyways, tenderized. Now you can use any cut of beef that you like for this. I have used previously, I've cut up chuck roast. I've cut up like those petite sirloins when they used to come on sale for a decent price. You know, meat is crazy expensive now, so you have to watch for deals. I've used cube steak that I've cut up. I've used all kinds of things. You can do this recipe with venison. I've tried it with elk. It is really good with elk meat. You could use whatever you want in this stew. It's really simple. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to brown your meat. There's 2 pounds of meat in this package because that was the better deal. I'm not using all of that. I'm only going to use about 1 pound of it. And the other half I'm going to put away. Now, I got to say it quiet because I don't want Alec to hear. But you can make like chicken fried steak bites with this tenderized stew meat. I'm telling you, those are so good. You can dip them like little nuggets. Anyways, they're so good. You can make lots of other things. Chili Colorado. You could make, I've used them before and shredded them because that's the meat I had, and made shredded beef tacos. I've made all kinds of things. So if you want to see another recipe of things you can do with stew meat, let me know in the comments. I'm happy to show you. So the first thing we're going to do, oh, I forgot to turn my pan on and put a little oil in. That's what you want to do first. I'm using a heavy pot. This is an enameled cast iron pan. I really like to use it to make my stews and soups and things like that. And marinara sauce. I make a really good marinara meat sauce. In here, you only want to put like a teaspoon or 2. You do not need a whole bunch of oil because I think it's yucky when you go to get some soup or stew and there's just grease film on the top. So watch how much you put in there. If you do put too much and you get your meat browned and you find there's too much oil in here, you can take some of that out. So I'm going to put half of this in here, and then I'm going to wash my hands, and the other half I'm going to vacuum pack and put in my freezer after a little while when I can get to that, and I'll save it to make one of those other things I mentioned. Probably the chicken fried steak bites, because that is my son's favorite. And his birthday is coming up, so that'll probably be his birthday dinner, is chicken fried steak bites, because he asked for chicken fried steak every single day. But we don't have that every single day. So I'm just going to wrap this back up for now and put it back in my fridge. And I'm going to wash my hands. And then we're going to get this meat browned with some salt and pepper. And we'll be right back. Okay, so my meat is starting to brown. It's doing pretty good. I'm going to, like I said, we're going to salt and pepper it. I'm going to do a little bit of the coarse salt for now. This is about, I'd say, 1 teaspoon. And maybe a little more, like 1.5 teaspoons. Go light on the salt at first because you can add more later, but you cannot take it back out. And today I'm going to use beef bouillon in mine. You can use beef broth if you want, but it also has salt in it, even if you get the low sodium. So you want to be on the safer side because you can't take it out. And some pepper. And we're just getting that browned up nice. It helps bring out some flavor. It makes a little bit of fond down in the bottom of the pan. You know, that stuff that gets stuck at the bottom, the crunchy, the brown stuff, that's called fond. And it will add flavor to your stew. So you definitely want to do that. Remove this oil. Now, while my meat is browning, I'm going to work on some of my vegetables. And again, I'm cheating a little bit. In this bag, I have some carrot sticks and some celery sticks that I cut for snacking a couple weeks ago that we were doing stuff as a family. And well, I have a few left over. It looks like a ton, but this bag was like so full. And anyways, they're still good, so we're going to use them in our soup. So I use like about 2 stalks worth of celery in mine. I don't like a ton of celery because celery can be a strong flavor to some people, and my boys aren't real keen on celery. I like it a lot, but they love carrots. My boys will eat carrots. That's not a problem. So this bag was like mostly carrots. There was like a little tiny bit of celery and mostly carrots. I ate quite a bit of that celery. So since this is already partially cut, I'm just going to finish cutting it and dicing it. I do like 3 carrots worth of carrots. So that looks like a good pile. Maybe a few more carrots. So you do however many you want. You don't like one of these? Don't put it in. That's pretty easy. So I'm just going to get these cut up while this is browning. And I do add them to it while it's browning, and it helps to start cooking them, and it gives them a little bit of a head start, I guess you could say. So I'm just going to trim up this celery a little bit because the ends turn a little brown. They won't hurt you, but I think they look ugly, so I'm going to trim them off. And I know my cutting technique is not the best, but you know what? I didn't go to culinary school. I just have self-taught knife skills. My mom did teach me to keep my fingers away from it. My husband's mom told me to keep my fingers away from it. And you know what? They're not wrong. Keep your fingers away from your knife. You don't need to cut your fingers off. So just take your time. You don't have to be fancy and go like really fast. I mean, come on. I mean, I guess if you chop stuff all day long, you'd be really good at it, but most of us don't. So just take your time and make your cuts. You can even cut your vegetables up before and have them set aside. So, oh, I forgot to show you, my meat is brown and it looks pretty good. It smells good. And all of the seasoning that's in there right now is salt and pepper. So don't worry, there's lots of flavor that goes into here. Now these carrots, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to rough chop them. This is not a fancy stew. Oh, I hear my kids. It sounds like my other 2 boys are home from school now. Yeah. And they let one of the yucky cats in. How about that? Okay, I'm going to cut up 1 onion. I'm going to dice it. So I've got my meat browned. I've got my vegetables in there, 3 of them. I'm still going to be putting some potatoes, but I want to get these started cooking first because they take longer, and then the potatoes won't disintegrate. So I'm going to add some hot water to this because now my meat is perfectly browned, and I'm going to add some bouillon and some other seasonings. So first I'm going to start with, I'm just going to cover the meat with about 1 inch over it. Not a whole lot, because these vegetables are also going to give off some liquid, and the potatoes will too. So let me grab some water. That was 4 cups. It's almost just enough, so I'm going to add 2 more. So it'll make 6 cups for now that I've added. Because we're making a stew, not a soup, so it's going to be thick. We don't want a ton of liquid. If you were making a soup and you wanted more broth, you would obviously add more water. So I've got that in. Now I'm going to put in some more of my seasonings. We're going to start with some bouillon. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to put seven bouillon cubes in, because one cup goes to 1 cube, and I like mine to have a little bit more beef flavor, so I put 7 to 6 cups of water. And you can always add a little more later, but you can't take it out. So if you want to start with less, obviously start with less. So let me hurry and get these in there. This is the worst part, is you have to undo these, and they sometimes can be difficult. Got our bouillon cubes in. Now we're going to add, we're going to add some garlic powder. How much? I don't know, that much? Like a teaspoon? Maybe a little bit more, teaspoon-ish, somewhere around there. I like garlic powder. And cayenne pepper. Now this, some people absolutely do not like it. If you don't like it, don't put it in. But I like it. I like my stuff to have a little bit of spice to it. And if you're not feeling well, my family's healthy right now, but if you're not feeling well, this is a great addition to your soups. And so is like turmeric powder and things like that, because it will help you to get feeling a little better. Helps to clear out those sinuses and suchness. We're just going to put like that. That's not even 1/8 of a teaspoon. It's like a pinch. Just a little tiny bit. So a little bit of this goes a long ways in a soup, because it's going to simmer in that broth, and it's going to be not just on like one little piece. We're going to add some bay leaves. I put two bay leaves. These are dried ones. And later on, we'll put some browning sauce and some tomato sauce. You can add the tomato sauce now if you'd like. You know what? Let's just add it now so it's done. Forgetful. And don't always get everything out that I need. And I think I do, but then I don't. I don't know. So this is just a small can of tomato sauce. It's an 8-ounce can. Some people, and sometimes I do it, I'll put diced tomatoes in here, but you don't have to do that. But I do add a can of tomato sauce to my stew. It gives it a little extra flavor. Now, the browning sauce, this is like it has like a little bit of seasoning to it, and it just helps to give this a more of a brown look, and it does add flavor and a little bit of salt to it, and I like it. So here we go. I don't know how much I put in. I just go like this. Bijou, about like that. That looks pretty good. That's maybe a teaspoon-ish. So, and it just turns it a nice, beautiful brown color and adds a little bit of flavor. It's good to make your gravies with if you're making a brown gravy. It adds a little bit of color and flavor to it. So now I'm going to let that simmer on my regular stove for about 30-ish minutes, and then we'll add some potatoes. And I've got 3 potatoes that I'm going to peel and dice up, and we'll add it to it and check the water level and the salt level, and we'll go from there and see what we need to add or not. Okay, so our stew has been simmering for about 30-ish minutes, maybe 40. Oh, it looks great. So much color. Oh, it looks beautiful. Everything's getting nice and tender. We're going to add our potatoes. I've got 3 potatoes here. I cut them kind of chunky because we like chunky vegetables. That's Alec. He's very happy today. So I'm just going to add these potatoes. Get in there. And we're just going to let this simmer till the potatoes are done. And then we're going to check the flavor, make sure everything is good. We're going to put a little bit of salt in there right now because potatoes love salt. They'll soak it right up. And then none of the other vegetables will have any salt. It's left. So I'm just going to use the little salt shaker so I don't overdo it. We're gonna add like a half a teaspoon-ish, maybe a little bit more. And we're gonna call it good on that. And I'm gonna let it simmer again for another 20-ish minutes, and then we'll check it and see how our potatoes are. Make sure all the other vegetables are soft. We'll thicken it, and we'll try it. We'll see how we did. We'll see you when we get back. Okay, so my beef stew has been simmering with a lid on for about 30 or so minutes. You want to check it periodically and make sure that it's not losing too much water. I did add a little bit more water to my beef stew. I added about 1.5 cups more water. And now we're going to thicken it with some cornstarch and water. I have 1/4 cup of water. So that I'm going to add, about 2 tablespoons of cornstarch, and just stir that up, make a little slurry with it. Make sure all the clumps are dissolved. If you have a little tiny whisk, you can use that. I just use a spoon. And we're just going to stir it into and make sure that your stew is boiling. It's not, or bubbling still. It's not just sitting there. Because if it's not hot enough, it won't thicken. And this is very cold water. So that's what you want to use. And I did take the bay leaves out already. So those aren't in here. If you leave them in, it won't hurt anybody. They can just pick it out of their own bowl. But I picked them out for my family already. While stirring, slowly add in your cornstarch slurry. It's going to start to thicken up nicely. I'm going to turn my heat off because it'll continue to cook because it's very hot. Now, if you're doing this on a regular stove, an electric stove, then you will still have residual heat from that burner. I'm using one of the induction cookers, so the heat's gone, it's off. So there's not much residual heat. And if you turn off a gas stove, the heat is gone. There's not much residual heat in the plate that's holding it above the flame. So that is beautifully thick. I already tested it for salt and everything, and I think it's just right. So let's have a little taste, because I got a hungry family that would like to eat some beef stew. I'm just going to have a little sample because I am going to eat with my family. So, ooh, it's very hot. But look how beautiful it turned out. It's nice and thick, and it's got, you can see all the vegetables. It's got a beautiful color. This has turned out really good, and everything's tender. If you want your stew meat to be even more tender, you can simmer it longer before you add any vegetables to it. But where I bought the tenderized meat, it's pretty tender. I just cut mine with the side of my spoon. That is perfect. This will be great with a roll or with a piece of bread and butter on the side. This makes a really great lunch the next day. So if you try this recipe and you like it, let me know down in the comments. And watch for some more recipes I will be working on. And we'll see you next time. Bye. So good. Thumbs up, Alec. I have Baby Einstein music stuck in my head. I'm losing my mind. Nobody even watches Baby Einsteins anymore. Oh, lady, I can't find the bay leaves. Where did they go to? I don't know where they went. There they are. Good grief. Okay, now we need